Hello and welcome back to Nerdy and Flirty. My name is Cass and I am so excited about today's episode. I know I say that every single week, but this one truly is one that I just love talking about. This is something I could talk about forever. It's just in time for the holiday season because I know social health is one of those things that gets super affected by the holidays, and our social health affects everything. Your social health is your relationships, the people around you, and if you haven't listened to episode 3, definitely go listen to the 8 Dimensions of Wellness episode that I did because I talk a lot about the importance of social health, but specifically today we're going to talk about the holidays and things that you can do all year long. But I know that the holidays can be a tough and lonely time with your friends, your family, your significant others, or lack thereof. We really glamorize the holiday season, and it is fun. Like, we make cookies, and we put up trees, and we do all kinds of fun things during the holidays. But it's also a very lonely time for a lot of people, even if we don't always say it to our friends or say it out loud. There's such a pressure to have this perfect holiday season, perfect family gatherings, big dining room table, bunch of homemade food, everyone's laughing, playing games, enjoying themselves. And the reality is that it's not like that for most people. Most of us are not living in a Hallmark movie. Even if you do have a good family and a good tradition and good everything, it's still not like the Hallmark movies. I've spent my fair share of holidays sad or alone, away from my friends, away from my family. And there is nothing more lonely than when you feel lonely and you're still surrounded by people. Like, if you've ever spent a holiday where you're surrounded by all kinds of people and you feel so alone still, that is a hard feeling. That is a hard time. And even though we have cookies and hot chocolate and fun things for the holidays, it doesn't get rid of our strained relationships, the grief we're having, losing loved ones. All these things still happen during the holiday season, and we're expected to just kind of like forget about it and be happy and go ice skating and do all these things. And like, of course, there is so much joy during the holiday season. I'm not saying that you shouldn't feel joy, but I'm also not saying that it's perfect like the Hallmark movies, because it's not. But today I do want to talk about the things that we can control and some of the mindset shifts that I've made in my life to change my social health and to be more in control of the people I'm around and how I feel, especially during the holiday season, because I always wanted to have that perfect, like, big family gathering where we're all around each other laughing, having fun, and enjoying ourselves. And it's taken me a little bit of time to get there, but I do have it. Like, I have amazing people around me, and I really feel like I'm surrounded by love. And I know younger me is just so happy, and that's so beautiful to me. There are things that we can do. There are mindset shifts that we can make and actual things that we can do to change what our life is around us. Like, you can influence your social health. You're not stuck with the strained relationships you had as a child or the horrible friendships you had growing up, or like, as we get older, we are more in control of the people we're around. And why wouldn't you want to be surrounded by love and people that support you? But it definitely requires work. Creating a social circle takes work. It takes time. It takes effort, and it does not come immediately. It is not something that's instantaneous. It takes time and it takes effort, but we are made to be surrounded by people. It is so hard to do this life alone. It is so hard to be completely by yourself and feel happy and succeed. And I really believe that we need relationships around us. We need people in our corner, but relationships are tricky, especially when it comes to family relationships or friendships you've had for a long time. They are tricky. And as we get older, I know I'm post-grad, and my friendships have changed a lot since I've graduated, even just in the last couple of years. No one teaches us how to navigate friendships. No one teaches us how to navigate evolving friendships when we go through school, get done school, get jobs, grow up. As we get older, our friendships change quite a bit. Sometimes we outgrow friends, we set boundaries with family members, we dedicate certain people for certain things. I know in my personal life, my friendships and my family dynamic has changed drastically throughout the years, and it's not always easy. At first, this was such a challenge for me when I was growing up. Watching your friends change and watching the people around you start to act different is not always easy to accept. And I'm sure for them, the same thing was not easy for them to accept about me. I know I changed a lot since I was young, and my life has been very different since even 5 years ago. And sometimes that results in not being friends with these people anymore. I don't like losing people. I don't like losing friends. I don't like, like not being friends with someone I expected to be friends with for a long time. But sometimes that's necessary because I was evolving differently than they were. And it's not to say one of us was better than the other. We just changed differently and became less compatible. And that's very normal. I would be worried if we weren't changing, if we weren't growing, if we weren't evolving. But all these things that I'm saying, it still doesn't make it easy for your friendships to change and the dynamics to change. So in order to deal with this, I started to adopt this mindset that I'm going to share with you. And it changed completely how I view my relationships and how I deal with evolving friendships and family relationships. I started journaling about this and I realized that I can redefine the roles that people play in my life. You are allowed to choose and assign anyone whatever role you want them to play in your life. Especially as we get older, you can redefine and reassign any role that people play in your life. I think that there's a lot of pressure to find your person, right? Your person. We see it everywhere. It's your best friend, your significant other, your soulmate, your twin flame, whatever label you like. But it's this person in your life that's supposed to listen to you, supposed to laugh with you, support you, have fun with you. This person is supposed to do everything with you. And while I think it's true that you can have a special connection to one person, I also think that's a whole lot of responsibility for one person to have and be everything for you. I think we glamorize these relationships, and as a result, we place these expectations on what people in our lives should be doing. And here's a hot take. I think we need to lose these expectations. I think we need to place people where they fit already, instead of expecting them to be everything for us. If you have a friend that you want to be your best friend and you have all these expectations on them to be everything for you, you're going to be disappointed a lot of times. Now, it doesn't mean that you should be giving out free passes to people that treat you badly. It's not about lowering your standards. It's lowering your expectations. Because to me, those are different. To me, standards are respect, showing up when you say you will, loyalty, the non-negotiables in a relationship, how you want to be treated, right? But expectations, those are your expectations about people changing, expecting things to be different, expecting someone to do something that you never even agreed on in the first place. I am all about having high standards, but I'm not about expecting someone to do something when they never even knew that it was expected of them in the first place. If someone in your life is showing up authentically to themselves, they always act the same, whether you like it or not, and you expect them every single day to act differently than that, you're going to be disappointed every single day. Like, to expect them to change, and maybe one day they will change, but to expect them to act different just because you're expecting them to, it doesn't make them a bad person. It doesn't make them a bad friend. It just makes them who they are. And I have an example about this. So I have one of my really close friends. She's great. She wakes up early. She works out. She eats healthy. We share a lot of values in health and wellness, which is a really big part of who I am, obviously. And we talk about studies and podcasts and research, and we encourage each other to live healthy, mindful lives. And we talk about our feelings, and we talk about all these things about wellness, right? And then I have another friend who likes to sleep in and eat fast food and go out on the weekends, and we stay up late. And when I'm with her, we go out and we let loose and we have fun. And she brings out that other side of me. And I love her and value our friendship just as much. But it would be crazy of me to expect one of them to fulfill the roles of the other parts of me, right? Like, I don't expect my healthy, mindful, green juice friend to come out with me on the weekends to the bars. But she's still one of my best friends. And I also don't expect my friend that I like to go out with to wake up at 6 a.m. and go to a yoga class with me. But they're still both my friends, and I value both of them just as much. I feel like when we were growing up, we were told that we're going to find our best friend that does everything with us, and it's going to be this amazing friendship and this best thing and blah, 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 blah. And I have amazing friends, right? But none of them do every single part of my life. None of them fit every single layer of my life because we are all dynamic. We all have many layers many parts of ourselves. And I think it's impossible to find one person that fits every single part of you, just like you're not going to fit every single part of someone else. We have friends for different things. We have friends for your creative side, for traveling, for fun things, for business, for health, for wellness. I have different friends for every different part of me, and that's totally okay. And honestly, I feel like that's healthier than expecting one person to do it all at once. This same thing applies for family members. I feel like growing up, I had this crazy expectation of my family members, specifically my parents, to act a certain way and to behave a certain way and to do things a certain way. And as I've gotten older, I've really started to realize that they're just people too, and they're just human beings trying to do the best they can. And they have different personalities than I do. For example, I used to want my mom to be this nurturing, loving, like this mom that makes you soup when you're sick and lets you stay home and takes care of you and hugs you and puts blankets on you and tucks you in. And she's just not that person. Like, she is so loving. She's so, like, amazing. But she's going to give me the hard truth. She's going to tell me what I need to hear, not always what I want to hear. And growing up, I really started to appreciate that. But when I was younger, like, I always wanted her to be this nurturing person, and it always just left me feeling disappointed. When looking back, I should have just accepted that she's going to be the one I go to for honest advice and for honest feedback, and not always the person that's going to tell me what I want to hear, right? And there is a place for that. We have relationships to use each other, and I know using each other sounds like taking advantage of each other and has a negative connotation. But when I say using each other, I mean we all use each other. We use each other for different things. I use my friends for fun, for inspiration, for laughs, for all kinds of things, and they use me for things as well. Sometimes we both give each other the same things, like we both give each other laughter and support. But a lot of times we befriend people because they provide us something we can't give ourselves. And it's important to be around people that have different things that they provide to you, because who wants to be around people that are exactly like them? How else are we supposed to grow if we're only hanging out with people that completely agree with us and think the same and do the same and act the same as us? That would be so boring. And I think we all know that and we understand that. But then sometimes when people don't act exactly as we would, we get mad that they're not doing everything we would do. But that's the beauty of being friends with people that are different than us. A lot of our personality traits have a double-edged sword. Like, that person that's spontaneous and fun and doing things in the moment is also usually chaotic sometimes and doesn't plan things out. And that is the double-edged sword of that. We all have personality traits that are our strengths, but also some of our biggest weaknesses in certain situations. Like, we all have that. And it's important to acknowledge that and accept that and honestly admire that in our friends and in ourselves. I think we put a lot of pressure on people to behave perfectly when in reality we don't behave that way either, because we have these unrealistic expectations of our friendships, of our family, of the people around us. Like I said earlier, it's not standards, it's not lowering your values or the things that you really hold true to a good friendship. It's the expectations, the things that don't really matter but matter. You know, like, if someone's kind-hearted but they run late all the time, are you really just going to cut them off? I feel like on social media there is a huge conversation around, if people don't show up for you and people don't put in effort, just cut them off. Just cut them off. They're not a true friend if they're not putting in effort, blah, 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 blah. But we also have to put in effort. Like, everyone has to put in effort. It's the easy road to sit back and be the victim and say, no one's reaching out to me, blah, 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 blah. But creating genuine relationships takes effort. It takes effort from both people. I'm not saying you need to bend over backwards and be the one always going out of your way and getting taken advantage of, but you do have to put yourself out there, especially if you're not happy in the relationships you have right now and you're not surrounded by the best people and you want to make a change. You have to make effort. You have to put yourself out there. People are not just going to come up to you and ask you to be your friend and invite you to things just because, right? You have to put yourself out there and make it known that you're open to these things to begin with. For example, when I moved back from college, I moved back home to my hometown where I wasn't really close to any people here. I lost a lot of my friends. I wasn't close to really anyone when I moved back here. And all of my really close friends that I made in college all moved back to their home states. Everyone's sporadic throughout the United States, and that's fun because I get to go travel and see them. But I didn't have close friends here near me, right by my side that I could call up and go do something with. And I wanted that. Like I wanted to have friends around me and near me that I could be close to. And it took time, and I had to put myself out there. The way that I did that was by reconnecting with people I used to be friends with, and even trying to connect with new people that maybe I knew of in high school but didn't really talk to them, or the person next to me in yoga. Like, I tried to just put myself out there, and I swiped up to people's stories. I made plans to catch up. I consciously made an effort to try to make more friends. Was it a little awkward? Yes. Did I have to put myself out there a lot? Yes. Did it take a lot of time? Yes. But do I have amazing girlfriends now? Yes. And I'm so happy with how it happened. But if I wasn't making an effort, and if I wasn't hosting things and texting first and calling first and swiping up to stories, I probably wouldn't have any friends right now. But with every single person in my life, I try to place them in a role that is fitting for them. Not with what I want them to be, but what they actually are. What they consistently show me is who they are. Think about your friends. Think about what you gain from being with them. Think about how you feel before you see them and after you see them. Are you friends with them because they give you the best advice? Are you friends with them because they're just genuinely a good time when you're out? Are you friends with them because you've been friends for years? Do they add something positive to your life, or do they take something away from your life? Are you friends with them because they provide chaos and that's addicting in a way? It's important to figure out why you're even friends with people and take inventory of where they stand, what their role is in your life. It's okay to have friends for certain things, and not every friend has to be the friend that you call up to tell your deepest, darkest secrets, right? Some of your friends can just be friends that you have fun with and go out with and have parties with and just genuinely have fun with and laugh a lot with. There is so much value in that. And there is also value in that friend that you call up when you're crying your eyes out and you're going through a breakup and you just need someone to listen to you and be there for you in tough situations. One friend is not always going to be both of those roles. One person is not always going to fill every single role in your life, and that is okay. Now, obviously, all of this is to say that you can't just back down from your standards like we've been talking about. Some standards are their kindness. Are they genuinely nice to you? Or do they talk about you every time you leave the table? Like, that's not a genuinely good friend. Or if they constantly never show up for you, like, that's another thing that, okay, maybe you don't want this person in your life, and you don't have to be friends with people just because it looks good, right? But if people fit your general values, your general non-negotiables, but they're different than you, or they have different lifestyles than you, they're probably a good person to have around. It's good to diversify your friends. It's good to be around people that are different than you and appreciate that, instead of getting in our heads and expecting people to just act a certain way because we would act that way. And when you take inventory of your friends and who stands where and who provides what in your life and what do you provide them, if you're feeling unsatisfied with your friend group or your family or anything, any relationship in your life, and you want to improve it, you have to think about what parts of your social circle are you missing. Are you missing that person you call when you're really sad? Are you missing that person you call when you want to go out and have fun? Are you missing someone to share your creative sides with, to talk about business with? Like, think about the things in your life that you like to do and figure out where you kind of need to improve your social life in that setting. And sometimes some of your existing friends will surprise you in what they like to do now. Maybe they didn't like to do it before, and now they like to do things. Like I mentioned in the very beginning, we evolve, we change. So, for example, I wanted someone to go to yoga with me, and now I have a friend that I was already friends with that comes with me every single week, and we have a great time. And she never really did it before, and she was excited to go, and I was like, this is awesome. And now I have someone to go to yoga with me. Be open to your friends evolving and changing and wanting to do things, and don't be so stuck in how you expect them to act, because that's exhausting. Expecting people to act a certain way when they most likely will not is so exhausting. And when it comes to the holiday season, I know I haven't really talked about the holidays yet, but when it comes to the holiday season, I feel like we do this even more because it's like our family, we only see 1 to 2 times a year. We want them to act a certain way, but maybe there's strained relationships or there's things going on behind closed doors that make it awkward and uncomfortable. And certain family members you might not like to see, but you have to see because it's respectful and courteous. And maybe certain family members say things you don't necessarily agree with, right? But instead of going to the annual Christmas party expecting them to just be better, take control of what you can control. If you can control not going to that, don't go. Or if you can control your interactions with them and maybe limit how much you're around them, if you really feel uncomfortable by a certain family member with what they say or how they act, or you just don't really want to see them, it brings up negative emotions for you, remind yourself that you're in control and you can redefine where this person fits in your life. You already know they're not going to be the person you're calling up all the time. And maybe you move seats at the dinner table. Maybe you limit how much you see them. Maybe you stop in for a little bit and then leave. Like, I know a lot of people that have a lot of stress when they're seeing their family members because of their own circumstances, many different situations. And I do just want to say you're not alone. Just in the conversations that I have with the people around me, it is so common to spend holidays around people that you don't necessarily love being around. Like, maybe there are strained relationships, like I've been saying. Like, that is very common, and a lot of people spend holidays like that. It sucks. But being in my 20s now, and just, I know I'm still very young, but I feel like I've gained a lot of control and a lot of say in my life. Like, if there are certain things I don't want to do, I find a way to respectfully decline and to not do them. And even if that means having a smaller holiday and not having that big Hallmark dining room table, right? If I'm having fun, I'd rather do that than be somewhere that I don't want to be at or be unwelcomed. Or I even know someone that likes to spend her holidays alone because she feels at peace and happy with herself rather than being around people that bring up negative emotions for her. But even if you don't want to let that stop you from going to things, like showing up to the family gathering and limiting your interactions with the people that bring up negative emotions, or limiting those awkward conversations with the aunt that can't stop questioning you and asking you questions you don't want to answer, right? You are in control of those things. And I actually do have a little tip about those conversations that are awkward. So everyone kind of knows that aunt or that family member that always asks them about their boyfriend, their engagement. Oh, you didn't bring someone again this year? Or when are you having kids? Or blah, 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 blah. And that is so annoying. I know it's so annoying to hear that. But I do want to give them the benefit of the doubt and say it's usually just because they don't have anything else to talk about. It's a family member you see 1 or 2 times a year. They have no idea what to say. They hardly know you, even though they're your family. Things that I do when I'm in situations like this is I have my conversation starters ready and I'm the one leading the conversation. If you want to avoid this and you already know that you're going to see someone that does this to you have to lead the conversation. You cannot let them be the one questioning you. You lead the conversation and you have topics ready with things that you want to talk about. Because I bet if you're leading it and you're talking about things, they're not going to ask you. So some little things that I always go down to when I'm trying to make small talk with someone I don't really know what to say. Talk about your hobbies. If you like talking about yourself, talk about things you're passionate about. That always brings up like a happiness and a joy around people when someone's talking about something they love. So if you recently started a new hobby, if you started doing a new project, something that's fun, something that's light, something that you're passionate about, that'll shine through, and sometimes that brings the conversation a little lighter. Or if you're going on any trips, vacations, maybe you're going on one soon or you just came back from one, something recent like that. People love talking about vacation. It'll spark someone else to talk about how they went on the same trip, blah, 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 blah. And then there you go, you're safe there. Or if you have a quick little story that just happened maybe this week that's fun, entertaining, maybe something at work or something on the way there or something when you were making your little appetizer, whatever, something quick like that. Or if you really don't like talking about yourself and you just want to have simple questions, ask them what they're watching. Are you watching anything good recently? Did you watch any good movies? Do you listen to podcasts? Do you read any books? Reading anything? Any recommendations? I'm looking for a new show. Like, that's always so easy to talk about, and it takes the pressure away from you and takes the spotlight off of you. I love to fall back on this because Who really wants to be questioned about where they're at in life milestones that you have very little control over? We all have that, and it's uncomfortable and it's weird, but as an adult, we have more tools and we have more control than we think, and you can lead the conversation. You can be in charge of what people talk about and what they don't. And if they do ask you, you just be like, I'm not sure, and then you bring up something else. You don't have to sit there and get lectured and get questioned and get all these different eyes on you anymore. Because just like I've been saying, people change, people evolve, but so have you. And you've grown. And you're not that 13-year-old kid that has to listen to their aunt in the same way anymore. You're older. You're more grown. You're more mature. Like, you have more control in your life. That's another thing about family. I think it's hard for certain family members to let go of the fact that you're not a little kid anymore and you can't be controlled and you can't be, talked to the same way as when you were younger. But it's important for you to take control and take autonomy in that and show up the way that you want to be spoken to and the way that you want to be seen, right? Because we have control over that. We can control what we say, how we act, how we allow others to talk to us, the boundaries we set. You should only have to set that boundary once with someone. And the first time is hard, but like with the whole uncomfortable questions thing at the dinner table, if you set that boundary one time and say like, I don't want to talk about that, they're probably not going to ask you again. And one last thing I want to say is about comparison when it comes to the holiday season. It's so easy to compare your life to other people's. I know I did that for a long time. Is every holiday season I would go on Instagram and I would compare what mine looked like to someone else's, and someone would post this big, huge family around this beautiful dining room table and the perfect Christmas card. And I would always be like, why doesn't mine look like that, right? And something that I tell myself, which I don't know how good this is to think, but it is something I think, and that is when I look at pictures like that, I just tell myself, like, I have no idea what's going on behind closed doors. They could have eaten the most disgusting dinner ever and it tasted horrible and no one enjoyed it. They could have been fighting in that picture. One of them could be having an affair on someone. Like, there could be so many things going on behind the scenes and I have no idea. So instead of comparing my life to someone's that I have no idea what the real truth is, because let's face it, social media is the furthest thing from reality, I'll just enjoy where I'm at, right? I'm going to water my grass on my side instead of comparing my green grass to someone's greener grass or whatever, however those sayings go, right? The grass grows where you water it. And if you take care of your family and your friends and your social life and you control the things you can control and you surround yourself by people that make you feel good, that make you feel loved, that make you feel happy and the most authentic versions of yourself, that's the best thing you could do. That is everything that I want to talk about on this topic. I could go on forever and ever about social health because I really believe we are the people that we're surrounded by, but I also believe that we have control over how that is and what that looks like. You are allowed to change what your social circle looks like, and it takes time, it takes effort, but you have control over that, and it's up to you to figure out if a relationship is worth investing in, worth reassigning, or if the relationship just played its course and it's time to let it go. Don't spend another holiday feeling sad or feeling down or feeling lonely. And I'm saying that from experience. Like, take control of what you can. Surround yourself with people that you feel really good around and you feel the best version of yourself, even if that doesn't look like the Hallmark holiday movie that we all kind of wish we had or wanted. Instead of comparing your life to that or comparing your life to someone on Instagrams or just making yourself feel sorry for what you don't have, focus on what you do have and focus on creating what you don't have and getting the things that you want that you might not have right now. Those things can happen for you. We have control in our lives to change the things that we don't like. And with a little effort, a little reframing of the mind, you can create a life you really love and be surrounded by people that you love and love you back. So I hope that this was helpful. I hope that this provided some value. Relationships are always going to be work and are always going to be something that change and ebb and flow and evolve, and that's totally normal. But remember that the grass grows where you water it. So take care of your grass, stop looking at everyone else's, and enjoy what you have. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you have an amazing day, amazing week, amazing weekend, and I will talk to you next week. Also, if you like the podcast, give it a follow, give it a 5-star rating, follow it on Instagram at Nerdy and Flirty Pod. I'm having so much fun posting on there and trying to get creative and make posts that I really like. So definitely go give it some love and let me know what you think. Send me a DM, send me a message, and I will talk to you next week. Bye.